Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiakos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiacos, he said, "You're crazy, go direct, my friend."
Πετύχω θα μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
Σάγκα πάρα πολύ. Είναι γάβες πάντα, όλοι μαζί.
Welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever the hell you're watching us from. I'm Kostas Lianos, also known Kostas with a K, and today is a historic episode because I am hosting Gate 7 International for the first time ever. Big ups, big day, and definitely a career highlight. I am joined by Sokratis Papastathopoulos' cute cousin, Ari Lukasis. How are you, Ari?
What's up, man? I am not actually related to Sokratis before people start DMing.
It's rumors.
Not related.
Rumors
it's
suggest.
A joke from AFTV. That's it.
Rumors suggest. And of course, big news, guys. Our very own Marcelo Debo, a fantastic journalist from Nouvelle République. Our guy from Olympiakos FR has officially joined Gate 7 International. Marcial, so great to have you, buddy. How do you feel to be part of the family officially?
It's a huge honor for me to be part of the family because, the project has been growing so fast. So it's a huge honor for me to be accepted in.
Well, it's an honor for us, buddy, to have you.
Yes. We're glad to have you, man. It was so much fun going to the game. I'm so glad we got to meet. I got to meet both of you guys in Greece. It was fantastic. Can't wait to do it again because there will definitely be more times. Hopefully I can make it up there again next year or maybe even sooner. That would be fantastic. And we can do it all over again.
Hopefully one day we can all go to a game together, a big game. Doesn't matter if it's a big game or a small game. Hopefully we can all make it. Guys, the channel keeps growing. We keep growing on social media. So please like and subscribe if you haven't done already. Share the word to grow this amazing channel. It's been a hell of a ride so far, getting to know all of you from every corner on the world. And we're going to keep growing. Just a bit of housekeeping to go. That's an Ari Bouloubasi trademark. Don't forget to visit betus.com.pa. Gate 7 INTL is the promo code. You get a 125% deposit boost, and we can help you with some of our statistics, our data, and analytics that we do, hoping to make the best bet that's going to make you some money. So, people, it's a big game coming up, but obviously we've had some breaking news coming in, some important developments. First and foremost, Philipp Zinkernagel has left Olympiakos just a few weeks after joining from Nottingham Forest on loan to Standard Liège. Quite out of the blue, this one. Philipp Zinkernagel was signed by Pedro Martins. Never really played his natural position, which is something Ari is going to help us a lot with. But he didn't really cut it for Carlos Corberan, and his immense roster didn't make the European list because of the immense roster and the fact that there's many homegrown players. Guys, what do you make of that?
Marcel, you can go first, buddy.
I think it's better for all parts to see Zinkernagel leave because it's so disappointing for a player to be cut out of the European list when you come to Olympiacos. I think it's to play in Europe. Obviously, it's so nice to win a title in your career, but if we're honest, players like Zinkernagel, they come for the Europe. So you have nothing to expect from Zinkernagel since he's not in the list. So let's cut the thing and loan him in Standard Liège, which is a quite kind of great club. So maybe he can do well there and come back stronger for Olympiacos, or maybe move in another club. So I don't have really an opinion on that because it was quite obvious that he would leave, and we were able to show him like after the game against Ionikos. it was obvious he needed to leave because there's no point to keep a player like that in the roster if he can't play in Europe.
What do you make of it, Adi?
So, I mean, I do have some mixed feelings about this because you have to feel for the guy. He came in under Pedro Martins, and then, of course, Pedro Martins leaves, and here he is. He's promised he's going to be part of a project that's going to be built. New coach comes in, and then he's not in the plans. We did see there were a lot of there were a lot of fans that were not fans of Zinkernagel, that didn't like how he played. I was not one of them. I thought that there were things that he did that indicated that he could grow with this team. So I'm a little at odds because when I see a couple of players that are on the European list, aka AK-47 and Man of Glass Gary Rodriguez, I wonder if maybe we actually had some space for him. But you know what? We can't have our cake and eat it too, right? Because when we ousted Pedro Martins and we brought Corberan in, everybody wanted. We all said whatever needs to be done, the squad has to be cut. Something has to be done to get our squad ready for Europe. Changes need to be made. Well, you know what? This is what we asked for, and this is what we got. So in the end, football is a results-driven business. So if in the end we do well in Europe, no one's going to remember that Zinkernagel got ousted. He's collateral damage at that point, and it's going to seem like the right move. We're only going to say negative things about it if Corberan really messes this whole thing up, and that's the only time we'll talk about it.
Well, first of all, TF91, thank you for joining us at this. Even though you have to get up in 6 hours, we really appreciate you being with us, pal. I mean, when it comes to Zinkernagel, he joined us. When it comes to Zinkernagel, he just joined us. It was a difficult period. It was Pedro Martins' last few weeks at Olympiacos. He never really got to play his own position. You got a new manager who did everything on the fly. Didn't work out for him. From then on, I think, well, you know, it's a case that the manager had to cut a few players, and it seems like he didn't really have a lot of options, especially after he brought Pep Biel on, and he decided to keep on Kostas Fortounis. I guess there weren't a lot of opportunities.
Costa, I don't mean to cut you off, but we just got a really big donation here from Kostas Kolias.
I was about to say, yes.
Gate 7 International plus Marcelo equals Arostia. Συνεχίστε παιδιά. Costa, thank you so much. Guys, this is incredible. And guys, it doesn't matter what the donation is. This is huge for us. I said it on a previous show. The fact that anybody wants to donate money to us because you guys believe in us and believe in this initiative, there's no words for me. Costa, you're more poetic than I am. Maybe you have words for it. I can't express what this means. And all I can tell you guys is, and we say this with each donation, there are things that this is going to. And we've already told you, the first thing is, you guys know that we pay for the data software that we use for scouting and analytics. Like I don't just get the data for deep dives and match results and the stuff you see on socials. It doesn't just materialize. We have to pay to get those. All of the services we use, including this StreamYard, everything that we use to bring this to you for YouTube, everything, the website, that all has a cost. We took on that cost. This helps us pay for that. But most importantly, this is going to other things, scoreboard things for the live casts. In addition to T-shirts, we're working on T-shirts, we're working on other things of merchandise. Also more things so that we can continue to offer you guys the best content. So those are the things that we're going for right now. We're trying to get T-shirts. We're trying to get better equipment so that when we do these live casts, when we're in Greece, we can actually offer you better services, score cams, live scoreboards, things like that. There's also other things that we need the money for so that we can get maybe copyrights for certain things so we can make better videos. All of this goes to that. So guys, thank you so much. Costa, thank you, buddy. And we will let you guys know when the T-shirts are coming. And then don't forget, we have a giveaway coming up. So keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely, guys. I mean, you are the heartbeat of this podcast, and this is an incredible donation. Thank you so much, Costa. Now back to the transfer rumors at Olympiacos and the departure rumors that we have. Apparently, we're hearing that Agibu Kamara could follow Philip Zinkernagel out of Olympiacos, with Standard also asking for Agibu, who also didn't make the European list. We've also heard about Ahmed Hassan, who has been targeted by Konyaspor, who won him back after scoring 11 goals in 33 matches last season while on loan. And we also have heard about Sivaspor keeping tabs on Lazar Radzelovic. What do we make of that, boys?
We don't hear you anymore, no?
We can't hear you, Ari. Your mic is a bit off.
Rookie mistake. There's one more Turkish club, unnamed, that apparently has made a loan offer as well. We don't know who that club is yet, just that there is another one that was interested in a loan.
I just saw, also Alanyaspor made an offer for Androutsos for Alan. I saw that on Greek press too.
Well, that would be quite a development for Olympiacos right there. But I mean, obviously the roster is huge, guys. It is way big. There needs to be players. We need to have departures. We need to have exits right now. It seems like it's going to be loan moves. It's a shame that Olympiacos didn't manage to make a big sell, didn't they? Madi Kamara went to Roma on loan. Papa Boussisset never left, which was, something I did expect to happen, and probably for good money. And this is a huge roster. I mean, we got a manager who's dealing with a lot of players in training.
Yeah, you're right, because it's mainly one of our biggest problem in the past 2-3 years, I guess, because probably Martin's best season was when the squad was okay, like 25, 26 players at max. And it's easier for a coach to work when he doesn't have to rotate that much, when you have a clear bench, players knowing that they will play probably back-to-back games, and it's better for the confidence. And that's why I'm expecting so many loans. Okay, it's loans, it's not sales, but it's better than nothing. And you talk about Rangelovic. I guess I would keep him because he's very frustrating player, but he's kind of a winger, a pure winger. He sticks on the line. He tries to go fast. He tries to create something. But okay, his ending product is quite bad. But if I have to choose between him and, for example, Vrusai, or I don't know, even De La Fuente, sometimes we have to make a choice. We have to, at least one or two wingers have to leave. Androutsos also, Koutris, player like that, because at the training, I think it's the daily life of the club. It's difficult for Corberan to work in trainings with 20, 35, 36 players. I'm not even speaking about Fortunis, all the B team players that could play for the team in Super League games, for example. So if we reduce the squad, it will help so much Corberan to work, basic work.
What do the numbers say, Ari?
For which? For which?
Well,
person?
we got Hassan. Hassan, Agibu, Radzelovic. Are those the kind of players that we can do without?
So I'm going to tell you right now, and I said this sort of when Corberan first came in. I didn't know how Agibu would fit in that system. So there's no surprise to me that Agibu went on loan. No surprise at all. He's going on loan. Same with Hassan. Hassan, I was always surprised that he was even in the team to begin with.
Yeah.
Hassan is in a little bit of an enigma. All he's good for is scoring a goal, and that's about it. Then you have who am I missing? Oh my God, I'm blanking now. Agibu, Hassan,
Radzelovic,
and then
Hassan.
And then we can't forget Koutris also. Verveles apparently brought up that Koutris also could be on his way out. So that's another player, which is really unfortunate because I thought Koutris had a place on this team at the very least in Greece. But if you're not going to be on the European list, maybe you want out, maybe you want to see something else. So
Also,
a lot of these players doesn't surprise me.
Also, I recall that Nikos Kotsis said that Leiner was really close to have his passport, so maybe it made sense for Kotris to leave because probably Leiner will be the guy that will probably play until Marcelo is ready. I mean, Oleg has to rest from time to time. So if Leiner gets his passports, and then for Coach Rees, it makes no sense to stay at the club.
4 left backs at Olympiacos right now. It's insane. George Strilos, thank you so much for the donation. As we said, we're very appreciative for any kind of support we can get on this channel. George Strilos, thank you so much. But it's not all about departures, because Olympiacos had a major acquisition recently. In case anyone has been living under the rock, the legendary Marcelo, Real Madrid legend Marcelo, has joined Olympiacos. And Marcial, you were there with the Gate 7 international superstar Labro Sirmo. How did you find it?
It was totally insane, because at first we weren't keen on go there, because we were like, okay, it's gonna be like 1K, 2K fans at the stadium, because I wasn't expecting so many people at the stadium. But once we got there, it was like so many people coming. It was more people, and at the beginning only 2 gates were open. So when we arrived at the press section, it was quite impossible to climb in the stands, and it was insane. And I think the club did well, because they let the people in like 1 hour before, and it allows the people to like make the public go more mad and more heated, and until Caramba stepped on the pitch, and it was the beginning of the apotheosis, because I've never seen that before for a player that comes into a club. It might be a failure, okay, but the joy that we could feel on the stadium that night, it's something that has no price for me, because this is why we support Olympiacos, and we kind of forgot all the bad thing that happened in the past weeks. I mean Martins, I mean Haifa. In this hour that Marcelo came at Karaiskakis, it was like nothing have happened before, like pure madness, just pure madness.
I mean, you were quite high on the stands. I'm not sure how well you could see Marcelo down there, but how did he look to you? Because on the camera, he looked so happy. He looked surprised at the reception. I don't think he expected something that big. The flares, the noise, the music, the chanting. I mean, the Greek fans are very, very special. They can be very, very supportive. They can make you a king if you join their team. They can make you want to run away from mommy if you're playing against them. One of the most intimidating crowds in the world are Greek crowds. It was insane. How did he look to you? How did he seem down there?
Well, as you said at the beginning, with all those flares, I wasn't able to see anything. Like it was just smoke and red lights. But when it went down, you could see he was so happy, because, as you said, I think he wasn't expecting that from Olympiacos fans. We all know that Olympiacos fans can be mad, but like that, like 20,000 people in the stadium, I think even Marcelo wasn't expecting that. So yeah, he was very happy. He was with his family. He was like kicking the balls and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure, it gave him the will to give his best for the club. I think it was already the case before, but when you are welcome like that, you need to you just need to give your best. You have no choice, otherwise you will leave Greece with the same in the same way, but not with joy, unfortunately.
And Dari, I have to ask you, man. I mean, this is a football legend that's joining Olympiacos. Many have already called him the best left back of all time, which I completely disagree, because there's only one, Roberto Carlos. But seriously, one of the greatest defenders in the history of the game have joined Olympiacos at the age of 34, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Ari, you're our numbers expert here. You're our stat expert here. What do you make of this move? Is this going to pay off on the pitch?
I think, in a manner of speaking, yes, it will. Just simply because of the caliber of player. Look, he's older. He's 34 years old. I get it. And so that's why a lot of people say, look, he's a washed footballer. He played about 1,100 minutes last season. The season before he played, I think, about 1,500 minutes for Real Madrid. So like in the last couple of years, his playing time has gone down slowly but surely. And you know what? Yeah, it's Real Madrid. It's one of the best teams. It's one of the best clubs in the world, if not the best club in the world.
If not
currently.
the best, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, if you're not in your prime physical condition, 33, 34 years old, you're not going to play for them. But that doesn't mean he's not a great player. And numbers wise, if we look at how he played, right? The defensive attributes, okay, maybe they're not so good. The defensive attributes of him have never been amazing. Let's put it that way. But what you love about Marcelo is the offensive part of him. It's incredible. His ball distribution ability, his build up, everything he does. Even last year, if we look at him compared to fullbacks in the top 5 leagues, his data is he's in the top percentile for everything. Volume of progressive carries, progressive passes. He's in the 99th percentile. He's like the best person. 90, and this is compared to all fullbacks in the top 5 leagues. So when it comes to getting the ball forward, he gets the ball forward at such a high volume. He leads when it comes to actually beating people on the dribble. 1v1 dribbles won. He leads. One of the highest pass completions. Volume of passes attempted. You know how many touches this guy gets on average a game when he's in the game? He's averaging almost 80 passes a game. Not touches, easy. 80 passes. Almost 100 touches a game. It's absurd. It's absurd touch volume. As a fullback, he is a leader in the world when it comes to fullbacks actually getting shots and assists. He's one of the top. And this is all based on per 90-minute data. So, sure, did he only play a minute? Did he only play 1,100 minutes for Real Madrid? Sure. Did he only play for 1,400 minutes the previous season? Yeah. But when he is in there and he's playing, he is a good player. So do I think he's a type of player that will win us the Europa League? No, maybe not. But to say he's not going to have impact on this team, guys, when did Rivaldo come here?
Yeah, early to mid 30s.
When did Valbuena get here?
Mid 30s.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't. We've had older players come here and make impact on this team. So anybody that tells me this player isn't going to do a lot for us, it's just wrong. And the data says that too.
Look at the Leitner picture he posted on Instagram. Like the first day Marcelo came at Renti, he was like posting with his idol. So I saw a comment that I totally agree with. Is like we will benefit from Marcelo in many ways, even if he doesn't play well. And I totally agree with that because he can give so many advices to players like Leitner, like even Oleg, even everyone in the team, I guess, because he has won like Champions League. So he probably knows how to handle high pressure games, knockouts, away games in Europe and stuff like that.
Well, I couldn't agree more with you.
The Nolan Lindner Fox here. How does he compare to the likes of Oleg? I'm not doing a deep dive. I don't have to. I'm not doing a deep dive on Marcelo. The number of people that are asking me, let's see. I have one camp that says, don't you dare compare him to Oleg in a deep dive. And then I have another camp that says, we must see the stats and compare to Oleg. I'm not doing that.
No, but I agree a lot with both of you, actually. And Martial, I mean, this is a player that Oleg Reabchuk has been needing. I've been saying that a lot this past season, that Oleg Reabchuk has absolutely no competition on the left. And that doesn't allow him to really push himself. I was constantly saying he needs competition. I never expected a name like Marcelo coming in. That is huge competition for him. That rings sirens in his head saying, if I don't deliver this season, if I don't pick it up, I'm not even going to be watching the game from the stands. It reminds me a lot of Brownie Deye. When Brownie Deye joined Olympiacos in the 2014-2015 season, is that right? Am I right on this one? I think I am. No, 2015-2016. I'm wrong.
Yes,
2015-2016 season.
Yep.
It was him and Alfred Finnbogason on loan from Real Sociedad. Finnbogason went back to Sociedad because he didn't play. And then Deye played no matter what at Olympiacos. He always started. And you could see that he was becoming stagnant. He wasn't really pushing himself. he was just happy with how things were, and you could see it. But then a guy called Oscar Cardoso joined. 1 goal in every 2 games for Trabzonspor and Benfica. I mean, this guy had all the makings of being the next Kostas Mitroglou or Darko Kovacevic, like delivering the same way Kovacevic and Mitroglou did. And that's when Brownie Dege took off. That's when he finally got that fire under his ass. So I'm really hoping that, you know what, even if something like this happens, if Marcelo doesn't play much, but Oleg elevates himself, Oleg transforms himself into a top left back at Olympiacos, that was well worth it, because that's exactly what Oleg needed. But I mean, we got a little spoiler alert for everyone, guys. Marcelo is not going to play against Nantes. So when is he going to play, though? That is one of the biggest questions. He's going to start training real soon, and based on my information, he is not going to play before the international break. Therefore, the best chance of Marcelo playing for Olympiacos is on October 1 against Atromitos at the Georgios Karaiskakis Stadium after the international break. How much are we looking forward to this, guys?
Well, so much, because it's the kind of game, if you're playing against Atromitos at home, you could like start with an assist maybe, or start with a... I think like if he just play like 20 minutes against a team like Atromitos, we will probably see like crazy things from him, even at 60%. Because there's no way you will fail in Greek league. Europe is another thing, but in Greek league, there is no way you're gonna fail. It's impossible coming straight from Madrid, even if he didn't play that much in Madrid. There is no way he fail. Probably maybe in defense he will get. He could be like kind of weak, but in attack, I don't see it happening.
How much time does he need, Ari?
That's a really good question, and I'm actually going to link that because I thought this was a really good question from this comment. Look at my eyes, DC. I just want to see Marcelo and Vrsaljko play together. Will this ever happen? Will they stay injury free? So there was one article I read that said that Marcelo won't be available until after the break in September.
Yes,
the international, and I can't remember which one that was. I want to say it was Gazzetta, but I'm not 100% sure. And again, we're never 100% sure, especially with this club, what kind of physical shape a lot of players are coming in. Vrsaljko, when he came in, was supposedly coming here to get playing time to make the World Cup. Then he retired from the national team. And I don't know if you saw some of those pictures in some of those Instagram stories today. He was not wearing cleats at training. He was wearing flats. So I don't think he was training. I mean, that's how I look at that. I had said in the scouting report for Vrsaljko, if he can be healthy and actually step on the field, this will be the best right back we've had since Torosidis. But this was a big if. And it's the same with Marcelo. We don't know the kind of shape he's in. And he hasn't played in a few months. So he might need to work up. And, you know, it's building endurance when the season started. For those of you that haven't played competitively or at a top level, it's hard. Usually over the summer, when you're doing training over the summer, you're doing usually 2 practices a day. And it's a lot of running, a lot of endurance training, because that's when you do it. You have all your time to focus. You're not usually focused on playing full 90 minutes games. Don't understand why Pedro Martins scheduled so many friendlies in addition to endurance training over the summer. That's beyond me. Maybe that's why so many players are getting hurt. Sidetrack, sorry guys. But that when you get into the season, it's less about the fitness training because you don't want to hurt people. You're doing more tactics and fundamentals, but you are still building your fitness, your endurance when you're actually playing. So getting match fit, there are things you can do to build your endurance, but generally during the course of the season, you are not trying to kill your players in practice. You're not making them run constantly. You're doing more things revolved around the game, playing the ball. So if he's coming in and he's not match fit, don't be surprised if September comes after the break and we still might not see him. But I think I'd be surprised if he came in and he's not fit at all. He didn't come in like Vrsaljko, where we're looking at his injury history like, oh, this guy can't get out of bed. You know, I think I imagine it would be fine.
I mean, preseason is so important for every players and every team as well, and managers. Think about there's so many key players at Olympiacos who didn't have a preseason. Hwang In-bom, Hwang In-jo, Marcelo, Pepiel, who hit the ground running with 1 assist and 1 goal and on his debut. This is very critical, guys. So, I mean, in general, it's the name of the game this season is patience. And Irakor, thank you so much for the donation. Why did Kamara Abubakar make the list instead of Conrad or Lazar? Well, I mean, when it comes to Lazar Adzelovic, I assume that it's because of his recent performances. They haven't been quite up to par. When it comes to Conrad, I'm not sure either because I think he put together some impressive performances, but I think it has to do with the homegrown players rota,
Yeah.
the homegrown players rota.
Yep.
When it comes to Abubakar Kamara, I mean, he can offer so many solutions on the wings, but also as a striker. So I think that's why he made the list. That's why he was preferred over those two, because there are so many wingers now all of a sudden at Olympiacos.
Yeah,
that's true. Also because he was a signing that if you cut him out of the list, it's very difficult to justify, because you basically gave this player to Martins because he asked for him. You paid money for him, so if you put it out of the list, it's like saying the whole summer you did was a mistake. I don't think it was whole a mistake, but if you cut Abubakar Kamara after his injury, it's like you're basically losing another player mentally. I mean.
We had a very interesting conversation in Greece, Marcial, about Conrad. Well, basically, here's a player that who's a graduate from from Barcelona's famous La Masia Academy. Never, if I'm not mistaken, he never scored a goal and produced an assist for Marseille. He had a really good debut, but then it just kind of went, well, not uphill.
Yeah, you're right. I think the main issue with Conrad is like, I don't think he's really a professional player. I mean, like his career from now on is like basically just hopes, some kind of dribbles from time to time, but he didn't make a full season in the first division, apart maybe in Barcelona B team, but it's not in first division. And I knew when he came from Marseille that it was a bet, and we saw against Ionikos that he could be the kind of player that make difference in the Super League. But at the end, I'm not surprised that he wasn't in the European list, because it's just on and off. And if I had to choose between him and Bowler, if I was Corberan, because Corberan knows Bowler, he saw him playing in championships. So to me, the choice seems logical. It's just that we didn't have the chance to see Bowler plays for Olympiacos yet. So we are asking the question, but I think the choice is quite logical for me.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen Bowler play yet, but we might see him on Thursday playing against Nantes in Olympiakos' first official European game at the Europa League, a very difficult match at Nantes. We have the list of players that have made it. A huge omission is Yann Villa, who has been sidelined with pharyngitis. He did not train. Sime Vrsaliko won't be on the team as he's dealing with a muscular injury, and we're not sure when he's coming back as well. Usain Nuba is suspended because of his red card against Apollona Lemesu. So who are we going to have? Who do we have on the roster? Obviously, Marcelo is not there. So here's who's going to be on the squad list against Nantes. We've got Vatslik, Zolakis, Papadoudis as in the goalkeepers for the goalkeepers. Retsos, Sokratis, Avila, Manolas, Reabchuk, Sisse as for the defenders. Midfielders: Bouchalakis, Kounde, Androutsos, Vrusai, Masouras, Bowler, Biel, Valbuena, Hwang In-bom, Entoy, and Rodriguez. And as forwards, there's El Arabi, there's Hwang In-jo, and Abubakar Kamara. How are we feeling about this, boys?
Well, don't forget, they mentioned today that Inbam Huang has a slight knock, something with his foot, but he's going to train, or he's going to try to, and if it's not hurting him too much, he'll probably play. So there's that, and I think there was one more. If I think of it, I thought there was one more thing that we were missing, but yeah. So we might not have Inbam Huang. We don't have Yann Villa.
But
So
also
it's going to be
is
very
suspended.
interesting.
Yes, by sideline. Yes, indeed. I mean, Marcial, you know Nantes better than all of us here. What can you tell us about this club? What can Olympiacos expect in less than 24 hours?
Well, first of all, I would say that it's a club that was out of Europe since a very, very long time. I made a podcast with French media, and the guy that ran the podcast said to me that between the last European game of Nantes and the game that will come tomorrow, Olympiacos has played 194 European games.
Oh, wow.
So
Jesus.
it means that we have the experience. We have way more experience. Like in every position, Alban Lafont, which is a top goalkeeper, will make his first European game tomorrow. This experience is way more developed at Olympiacos. Nantes also is not a club that qualified through championship. They won the cup, and it makes a difference for me because it means that they weren't in the position to qualify with the league, so they weren't a top flight French club. They do have quality. They have like very good players like Lafont, the goalkeeper, Merlin, the left back, Moses Simon, Ludovic Blas, for example. But they also lost Colomwani, which was a top striker, and he went on a free, so it's difficult to replace someone when the main striker is not sold. And also the big difference I see is that Olympiacos squad for me has more homogeneism. I don't know if I can say that in English.
Homogeny.
Yeah, it's way more homogenic compared to Nantes, because just take a look at Nantes bench this weekend in French League 1 is very poor. Like, it's very young players, or you have Fabio, for example, the former Manchester player, which is a kind of terrible fullback. But we have to be careful because we know that League One is a tough championship. So a player that plays in League One, even if he's average for Nantes, it could be a threat for Olympiacos, and especially with the form the club has right now. So I'm not worried, but I'm cautious because Nantes could be a surprise. Also, they came back in Europe. The stadium will be quite full. Nice fans, so we have to stay calm, stay quiet, and maybe the experience will do the work.
I mean, Ari, this is a French team playing against Olympiacos. Ligue 1 teams can be very dangerous. Olympiacos, obviously, we just mentioned it. It's a team that has been put together on the fly, new manager on the fly, new key players on the fly, no preseason for them. Olympiacos still finding their footing. What can we expect in terms of the tactics and in terms of how the game is going to pan out?
So we put a couple of graphics up earlier today on our socials. For those of you that may have checked them out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, we had just some basic match data, like how many goals were being scored, some XG, and then also we had little tactics with the threat direction. So the formations that Nantes played with to begin the season, up until the last couple of games, they were playing 3-4-3. And then they kind of switched the last couple of games to 4-1-4-1, 4-2-3, like 4-5-1, basically, or a 4-4-2 in one case against PSG. They did get a red card in that game, though. But they their data sucks. I'm just going to be honest with you there. I saw a comment here that a serious Olympiacos wins. And you're right. And there was a comment that you pulled up by Dimitris Theodourou. Our toughest enemy tomorrow is not Nantes, it's ourselves. We need to get our winning mentality back. And this is 100% true. So to reiterate some of the data, guys, they're scoring, their opponents are scoring more than double what Nantes scores per 90 minutes. The opponents are getting almost double the opportunities than them per 90 minutes. And this is in France. And I'm not talking about just PSG, right? They've played Marseille, Toulouse, Strasbourg, who else? Angers. Am I saying that right, Marcelo? Angers. Thank you. Yeah. My French accent is terrible, so please feel free to check me on that.
Pas de problème.
But so I would expect them to come out more defensive. They're going to be in one of those formations. Recent form says 4-5-1, but maybe they come back into a 3-4-3. But they're going to play defensive. They have not had they've had one game where they've actually dominated possession. Otherwise, they're not the one dominating possession. They're sitting deep. They're completing around 300 to 350 pass attempts per game. That's nothing. That's like when we play against Greek teams. So I would be very surprised if they're not playing a defensive structure like a 4-5-1. Maybe it'll even be 5-4-1. Who knows? I expect them to play a little bit more defensive. We haven't seen, and this comment here from Dimitris about playing 3 at the back. We actually haven't really seen the Olympiakos play 3 at the back under Carlos Corberán. The starting has usually been 4-4-2. The shapes have transitioned. A lot of you have DM'd me about the shapes. We have seen transition in shapes for 4-3-3, 4-4-2, and in some cases like that 5-2-3 or 3-2-5 on the offensive part of the ball. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting Corberán to continue with what he's been building. The only person I see playing with a back 3 really is going to be Nantes, and they're going to be playing more defensive. This is going to be our game, even away. This is going to be our game to lose. And I'm going to be honest with you. The last couple of years, I feel like our away form has been better than our home form, but that could just be me. Karaiskaki hasn't felt like a fortress in the last year and a half or so with this Olympiacos team. So I think this is doable. I think this is a game ideally we should win. But the ideal situation has not always happened for Olympiacos, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried we'll get in our own head. Maybe we get an early lead, we sit back, and then they come and put the pressure on us, and then next thing you know, it's Slovan Bratislava and Apollon Limassol all over again.
PMSD, Costa Levoyani calls that.
Exactly.
If I can add something, like it reminds me a little bit about of the games, the game we played in Montpellier back in time, if you remember.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The exception was that Montpellier were French champion at that time, so they have full confidence. They have like players at their primes. They had Giroud like discovering European football. What I want to say is that this is the kind of game that we have to win. Okay, Nantes has good players. They have nice fans. They are League One team, but this is a game we have to win. Like just look at the squads. Even if Corberán is trying to build something, even if some players are not ready, even if Mvila is out, this is a game we have to win if we want to have some ambition on this group. Because if you start a group with a loss, it's changed everything. It puts so much pressure on you for the second game, and then everything is different. And also when we won against Marseille the first game, like it basically changed the whole data for Marseille and for us, and it could be the same for Nantes tomorrow, because if Nantes starts with a loss, for example, I don't see them being able to bounce back from that and coming to fight for the second spot, maybe even not the first one.
I mean, this is a very tricky group, guys. I mean, I've said it many times. I mean, you had Karabakh, you had the Freiburg. Then you look at Group 4 after Olympiacos were on Pot A. You look at the Pot D. You want a team that you feel like, you know what, you can beat this team, on both legs and, seal third place and continue at the Conference League worst case scenario. This is not that kind of group. This is a kind of group that could go a lot of different ways. I mean, you cannot really pick number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And Olympiacos are no spring chicken right now. They are not really delivering on the pitch. Another thing that's worrying me so far is Juan Guizhou has yet to break his duck, which is not good for a striker. A striker needs to get his first goal out of the way as soon as possible, which is why it was such a shame that he missed that open goal against Ionikos after that fantastic Conrad effort from the wing. This is a really tough group, but this kind of Olympiacos, I feel like with a draw away, that'll be all right, I think, to kick things off, considering the situation they're on and the fact that they're still finding their footing.
It's true. Also, yeah, Europa League now is like 3 spots that allows you to play in Europe after January, right? So basically, if we win this game, it's like, it's just the first game, but even Karabakh, you said it, they were super close to go to Champions League. I think they could be more dangerous for us than Nantes because we don't really know the players. This is the team basically that has confidence. They have won legs in the summer, and I think it can make a difference. So I'm really curious to see how the games tomorrow will turn, because a clear win will solve so many problems for Olympiacos and for Corberan.
Ari, how do you expect Carlos Corberan to field the team tomorrow? We kind of touched on, you don't expect a back three.
I'm not expecting a back three, no, to be honest with you. I would be surprised because I thought we would see a back three earlier when Corberan first joined, but since Corberan has joined, we haven't actually at least fielded in the beginning as a back three. It has always been either like a 4-4-2, or in some cases like a 4-2-3-1, or a 4-1-4. It's been a variation to that, but we've been using a back four primarily. The only reason we see a three shape is depending on how, when the balls are coming forward and we're progressing up through the midfield, the back three forms with the wing backs coming up, pushing up. That's really the only time we see that, and M'Vila pivots back with the center backs. That's the only time we usually see that. So I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting a back four like usual, and I'm also expecting something. I'm going to tie it into a couple of these questions that we saw, or questions and comments. First one from Alexandros. In Europe away, I doubt we dominate the games in possession. And then there was another comment that we haven't dominated possession except against Asteras, and that's not completely true. We've dominated possession in Greece, at least, minus of course Ionikos in the second half. But every game, if you look at how the possession has played out in every game since Corberan has arrived, we have always, in the first almost 30 minutes of the game, been the ones dominating possession. And I'm not talking about 55-45. It's 65-70% possession. In the first 20-30 minutes of the game, it's always Olympiacos all over the place. But then the problem is, the second we get a goal, or the second that 30-minute mark hits, that's when the drop-off happens. Look what happened against Asteras. Look what happened against Ionikos. Look what happened even for periods against Pasianina. The team is not fit, or at least not the level of fitness that this murder ball or Bielsa ball requires. So I expect us to line up how I mentioned, and I expect that we're going to dominate possession in the beginning, but then we're not going to be able to keep it up, and then all of a sudden you're going to see Nantes bringing pressure to us the rest of the game. That's what I'm expecting in this game. And the scariest part for me is, because of no M'Vila, I only see one other person that can play the pivot. That's Bukhalakis. That scares me even more. I don't see him as being very confident right now. He's a confidence player. So the only caveat is, if we do run a 4-3-3, which is what I hope it'll be, he'll be next to Koundé, and hopefully Wang Inbom is healthy. We have two guys that will run all day next to him to cover for him. Bukhalakis' distribution skills, when he's able to confidently play, are actually quite good. I brought up in the past, last season, he was our leader when it came to through passes, smart passes, and a leader in progressive passes. So the guy serves a purpose. The problem is he hesitates a lot, and sometimes his brain farts can lead to really dangerous opportunities against us.
Where does Pep Biel play in a 4-3-3 though?
Pep Biel, that's the beautiful part. Pep Biel, you don't want to see him play. You don't want to see him play out wide, but Pep Biel can play. You can technically put him on the wing. You can leave him as a center forward. In a 4-4-2, he's the little guy in the big man, little man system, if you think about it. Actually, when he played against the Olympiacos, that's what we were playing, if you guys noticed, 4-4-2. And he was the one wandering around Wang Guizhou. So he can do all of that. And you guys saw him. He's class. I told you in the deep dive, he can play. This guy can play anywhere. Just put him on the field, man. 4-3-3, let him play as an inverted winger. Maybe it's not the best in terms of positionally speaking that he can play, but you get on him and he'll play. He can play anything, man. He can play in that striker position. He can play as a second striker if we do line up in a 4-4-2. But I see a lot of people like talking about Bukhalakis, guys. He's playing tomorrow. Just do what you have to do. Mentally prepare yourself. Bukhalakis is playing. There's nobody else that can play the pivot. Nobody. He's going to play. Just prepare yourself. Do yoga, breathing exercises, whatever you have to do to calm down. He's playing tomorrow. Mark my words.
Well, I mean, I look at the Olympiacos' transfers this season, and yeah, Marcelo is a big addition, but in my opinion, nothing gets bigger than Pep Biel. This is a player that contributed in 1 out of 2 goals for Copenhagen last season. He's 25, which means Olympiacos can still sell him. Mm-hmm. This is a real ball, a very, very rare transfer for a Greek team, and this is the kind of signing that cannot fail for Olympiacos. This is the kind of player that Corberan needs to make him work. Olympiacos cannot afford to lose this kind of player, and Nantes is going to be their toughest opponent this season so far. Greece and Europe are completely different beasts. Marcel, how do you think Olympiacos should approach this game against Nantes? What kind of formation do you think would suit Corberan best?
I think he has to stick with the 4-2-3-1, and I really liked the answer he gave about what he thinks about M'Vila being out and what it means for the team. And he said like it's basically more something the club has to overpass and take this as a will to show that the club can win without M'Vila, rather than changing the whole plan to compensate his absence. So I think we have to show since the beginning of the game that we want to win it. Sorry, because as I said before, even with the 4-2-3-1 and even with Ba being out and without M'Vila, the starting lineup will be quality. You will have solution on the bench. You will probably have like Valbuena, El Arabi on the bench. You will probably have, I don't know, Masuras maybe, or another winger on the bench. So there is no way that we start this game with the draw on our mind. Sorry, because yeah. It is something that has to change also, because with Martins, I had the impression that at the end he was playing not to lose in Europe and even in Greece, and that's the best way to lose the game actually, because it kills basically every creativity that you can find in the players, every will to attack. So I hope the team will start with the wish to win.
Question for both of you. I mean, I agree here with Maritzolaki. Τόσο καιρό λέγαμε για εξάρι μεταγραφή και ακόμα περιμένουμε. We've been talking about the 6 coming at joining Olympiacos as a Olympiacos signing a number 6, someone to help Yann M'Vila take a breather, or cover for him when he's out, like this coming Thursday. It never arrived. Where will this game be determined? Where will this game really be called? What is the area of the pitch that will determine how this game goes? Could it be the midfield now with Yann M'Vila out of the picture?
Yes, 100%. The engine, the bright spot of this team so far under Corberan since he's arrived has been the midfield. The final third, we hadn't been able to finish a lot of chances until this last game against the Olympiacos, where Pep Biel really dazzled us with his debut. But that's where a lot of the problems have been. The midfield's been able to move the ball, progress the ball forward, but then the final third's been lacking. And besides the midfield, the spot that's going to be something that we need to watch out for are the flanks. Because for those of you that didn't see the graphics we put up, Nantes the majority of their attacks come from the flanks. Over 200
Lovely French.
Over
Très
200
belle accent français.
I'm sure Martial appreciates it.
Martial wants to be gone now. Wants to be muted.
There you go. Over 200 attacks, okay? Over 200 attacks from Nantes. Over 150 of them came from the flanks. Nothing up through the middle. It's most of their attacks come from the flanks. So that's where you can expect a lot of threat to come from them. Now, that's where the volume will come from, but they're most efficient actually attacking up through the middle. Not a lot of times they go through the middle, but when they do, that's when we actually see their largest goal threat chances so far in the season.
What do you make of that, Martial?
I totally agree, but also this kind of games depends a lot about the striker quality. I mean, I saw, for example, the Marseille game against Tottenham earlier in the day, and Marseille did a wonderful first half. But if you do not score when you have opportunities, you will regret it. And I think that's an area that we could benefit from, because if El Arabi starts, for example, we all know he has a terrible summer, but it could be the kind of game like where he scores a goal inside the box, like after a goal, after the goalkeeper like stopped the ball. You know what I mean? Like shitty goal, but a goal that will make a difference. And that's the kind of players that could make a difference tomorrow. Him or Valbuena with a cross or stuff like that. And I'm expecting a lot about those small details in Europe, because I truly think that what makes the difference. Like we all remember, for example, Meria mistake in Tottenham and stuff like that. The ball boy giving the ball fast to Tottenham players. This is the kind of details that tomorrow can turn into for Olympiacos, because we do have this experience in Europe. So let's use this.
I mean, one thing that really worries me about Corberan so far is that he hasn't managed to play his preferred formations and systems like he did at Huddersfield, the 3-4-3, the 4-3-3s. It seems like he's still trying to find his groove. And it kind of reminds me of Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea. I mean, let's touch on that news. He got sacked today by Chelsea. He never really managed to play the formations he preferred at Dortmund, like the 4-3-3 at Dortmund. Never got the 4-2-4 from Paris Saint-Germain. He just carried on the 3-4-3 that Antonio Conte implemented at Chelsea. He never really got to impose his own philosophy, his own mentality, his own tactics. So I don't know. Does it feel like Corberan is struggling is just, trying to do a Pedro Martins, but better, slowly maybe impose his own mentality? Is he going to get his own? Are we going to see his philosophy soon? What do we expect there, guys?
I really don't know what to answer, but I think that we could see Corberan ideas with a reduced squad, and probably it will happen after the end of the Turkish market, that will take many of our players. So yeah, let's see what he can do after a few departures in the squad.
What do you reckon, Adi?
I mean, now that all the pieces are here, Corberan has got the pieces he wanted. He wanted Bowler. He wanted Pep Biel. These are his choices. These are the players that he wanted. I'm not sure if Marcelo was somebody that he also picked, that he said, hey, get him, do what you have to. But he got the pieces that he requested. Now we just kind of have to wait and see what happens, and hope that the process works. Trust the process now. That's all I can say. This is really the first major test with all the pieces assembled. Forget Apollona, where we were just trying to survive. Forget Slovan, where we were just surviving. This isn't just surviving anymore. Now the process has to take shape. This is the first major test. Forget Asteras, forget Ionikos, forget Yanina. That's Greece. This is the first test. So let's see how the process has gotten, and let's see where we really stand, because this is really the true barometer of what is being worked on and where our capabilities are. If we go in tomorrow and this is a disaster class, we know that we're in some trouble. But if it's close and we see us doing well, we know that there's something there and that long term, there's hope for more improvements down the road.
And it's time for the dreaded part of the podcast: match predictions, scoreline predictions. Right, what's going to happen tomorrow? I'm going to start with our newest member, Marcel. How do you see this going tomorrow?
I would say 1-0 for Olympiacos, or maybe 2-1 for Olympiacos, because Nantes
confidence. I love it.
Yeah, because Nantes will have confidence, but the thing that will matters for me tomorrow is the ability of winning an European game. And this is something that is it's not really easy to win an European game, even if you're better than the opponent team. We saw that too many times with Olympiacos under Martins, for example. And this is what will make the difference for me tomorrow. You can be average, you can be out of shape, but winning an European game, it's something that you have in the DNA, or maybe you have in their experience. And that's why I'm seeing Olympiacos winning tomorrow by 1 goal.
What about you, Adi?
So I see the game probably kind of going the same way we've seen things already go so far with our European campaign, and not just with Europe, with other things. There's a reason Nantes are favorites so far in this game, and I think Olympiacos will come out strong. I think we'll play well, probably even get a goal, but I also see us getting frustrated with some missed opportunities. We're going to see that, and it's going to bite us, because after we score the goal, we're going to get that PMSD. Players are going to sit back, whether because they're tired or because it's just routine, and we're going to soak pressure until eventually, probably in the second half, we cop another goal. So I'm going to say it's a draw. I'm thinking maybe 1-1, maybe 2-2, but it's going to be a draw. That's how I see it.
I agree as well, man. I agree. I can see both teams scoring, maybe a 1-1 draw. I'm not as confident as Marcel. I think Olympiacos still have a lot of areas to work on. I do hope we see a goal from Juan Guijo, get that duck out of the way. Maybe, more from Pepiel, see how the team gets used to the way he plays and manage to keep up with him. Hopefully we're going to see Bowler as well coming in. I can see a draw coming in. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The channel keeps growing. And don't forget to follow us on social media as well. Gate 7 International. Also follow Ari on Twitter at Aristides06. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Excellent. And obviously, our newest member, very glad to have him over. Huge honor to have a fellow colleague, Marcial. Follow him at Olympiakos FR. Did I get that right, Marcial?
Yeah, and you will see me in Nantes tomorrow for the guy that make the trip to Nantes.
Well, there you go. You wanna talk to a great Olympiakos fan? Marcial's gonna be there. Marcial Debo. Don't forget to follow me at Llanos Costas, and also my work at The Sun, covering a lot of Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining my first ever episode I host. And now I'm going to look to click the outro without screwing things up. But if I do screw up, I'm still going to be viral. So guys, be nice. Be nice today. This was my first episode. Hopefully there's going to be more. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. And guys, good luck to Olympiacos. Have a great night.
Όπου πας εσύ θα με πάντα εγώ, θα σου τραγουδώ.